Hey guys, it's Bill from Linda, Tennessee. I want to give a quick update on my cousin-in-law's off-road golf cart conversion. This was an electric conversion to begin with. It had a whole mess of lead-acid batteries in it, about 700 pounds worth of lead-acid batteries, and we converted it over to lithium iron phosphate. There's a company that they call themselves Patriot Power Source, and this is basically a go kart or golf cart conversion kit that you get. Each one of these they look like 12-volt batteries because they're 12-volt batteries, but they're lithium iron phosphate batteries, and they're 12 volts and 100 amp hours, so that works out to about 1.2 1.3 kilowatt hours each, and it's got 4 of them, and they're all in series, so we got 12 volts, 4 of them in a row. That makes 48 volts. So this is a 48 volt golf cart. Now it charges up to about 56 volts, and these are 100 amp hour batteries, like I said, so that works out to about 5.6 kilowatt hours. I did some testing with this a little while ago, and with that much energy, I can do about 20 miles, safely 20 miles. At about 21.2 miles, it stops, and you have to push it back into the garage. If you're lucky, it stops about 10 feet from the garage, and that's all you have to push it, so that's pretty cool. Another thing I had to do on this, the rear brakes were shot. The parking brake was the cable. The parking brake cables were all kinked up, and it was preventing the parking brake from coming on with the rear calipers. So rearrange those brake cables and replace those back brakes. The front brakes are fine. So now we got a parking brake, and we got lithium iron phosphate batteries. 12-volt battery over there is really the only reason it needs a 12-volt battery that size is because it does have a winch. If it didn't have this winch, then I wouldn't have a 12-volt battery at all. Maybe just a small one. I don't have it installed yet because I haven't got it. It's called a DC-DC converter. That takes the 56 volts from the pack and steps it down to 13 volts, just like an alternator would do. And then you can run all your accessories off of that, or it'll keep your battery charged. So when I get that, that's the last thing to install. The other thing I installed, I put a kill switch on here. It's not a kill switch in that you would push this if something went wrong. You're about to go in the creek or something, because this is under the seat, so it's pretty awkward to get to. But what it is more is for storage. So each of these batteries has a BMS inside of it, and all 4 of the BMSs do pull a little bit of energy, do pull a little bit of power. Not very much, but over time it adds up. So if you have this thing stored for like 2 months or 3 months or something, you'll want to pull this disconnect there, and it makes it so the batteries don't self-discharge. So normally lithium iron phosphate or any lithium-based chemistry battery doesn't self-discharge, not like a lead acid battery does. You can have a lithium battery sit for years and years and years without any kind of self-discharge at all if you don't have a BMS on it. So a BMS is a blessing and a curse at the same time. So it makes sure that the battery gets charged properly, doesn't get over discharged, and these have a temperature sensor in them also, because with lithium batteries you can't charge them when their core temperature is below freezing. You can use them, you can discharge them, you just can't charge them. So that's what I did there. I also went ahead and put an inverter on here for them. This is a 2,000 watt Chinesium inverter. I have an electric tractor that I converted several years ago that I use to cut the grass and do little yard work and stuff. And I use the same 2,000 watt inverter on it. It runs off of the 56 volt pack voltage, and I've got some plugs. I'll show you the plugs where you can plug in 110 volt appliances, or I guess you could put a microwave, or you could put any kind of appliance in there, but more likely you'd put a grinder or a coffee maker maybe, or maybe a saw. You can put a saw in there. Anything that you would plug into a 110 volt socket. That's what you would do with it. I think what he's going to do mostly is use it to charge his tools, rechargeable tools. Yep, that's that. And then back behind there is the charger. That's Silver Dealies. That's the charger. So that's actually running right now, charging the batteries up. And yeah, that's what's going on here. Underneath it here is a shunt. What that shunt does is it's a precision resistor, and it's got some wires that measure the resistance across the shunt, and that resistance will vary as current flows through it. So based on the variance of the current of that resistance, it calculates what kind of amperage is flowing through the battery. And if you count amps over time, you end up with energy. And energy is what you need to know. If this has 100 amp hours worth of energy, then that thing will count it, and that'll figure up your battery state of charge. Now with 100 amps, that's pretty easy because 1% is 1 amp hour. So if it's fully charged, you've got 100 amp hours that you can use, and you're 100%. So that's pretty easy. It gets a little more complicated when you're at 400 or 410 or something, whatever. At any rate, that's what this does. So that's your state of charge meter. It tells you your volts, tells your amps, tells your amp hours consumed, or is it the amp hours remaining? I think it's maybe remaining. Anyway, and then your state of charge. That's what that is right now. It's showing that it's being charged right now. It's got a little triangle with a plus in it, and yeah. So that's that. And then and this is where I plug it in. Now, originally when he handed this thing to me, it came with this gigantic transformer box-looking thing that was external to the vehicle, and you had it sitting in the garage. You plugged it into the wall, and then you plug the other end into the vehicle, and it charged the batteries directly. Well, now this has an onboard charger, so you plug 110 volts right here. You just put just an extension cord. Just plug an extension cord in, and that's how you charge it. And I specifically put this charge cord right there where the driver where it's very unlikely that the driver is going to not see it, because it is possible to drive off with this thing plugged in. So hopefully with it being right there, it won't be forgotten. And then, like I was talking about, the 110 volts, I put some sockets right there, so 110 volt plug right there. And then I also put another one back there. So that's another 110 volt plug right there. So if he's out in the field or whatever doing what he does, he can set up all his tools right there and have sort of a little workstation. Yeah, so yep, so that's it. That's what I've been doing over the last couple weeks or so. And when I get that DC-DC converter in, I'll get that installed, give him a call, and he can come get it. And I think it's going to serve him well for a while. So, all right, thanks for watching.